Yo, welcome back to Controller Culture, where we break down the games that shape the way we play. Today we're diving into the world of Hollow Knight's Silksong, as we continue our journey through the lore of every character, the Green Prince. Silksong hides one of the most poetic, heartbreaking, and quietly devastating storylines in the entire game behind optional bosses, hidden paths, and memories that only open in the late game. Like I said, we're talking about the Green Prince, but also the Cogwork Dances and the fall of a kingdom called Verdania. If you've ever beaten the Cogwork Dances and felt that sinking feeling in your stomach, if you've ever met the Green Prince in that rusted cage and thought, there's something deeper here, then you're exactly where you need to be. Full spoiler warning for everything up to Silksong's post-game and memory realms. With that out the way, let's step into the story. Our tale doesn't begin in a throne room, or a kingdom, or even with the prince. It actually begins with a performance. Deep within the coral chambers of the Citadel, Hornet faces the Cogwork Dancers, two mechanical warriors whose movements aren't just coordinated, they're intertwined. They twist around one another, gears singing in unison, as if performing a ritual they've rehearsed for generations. It feels less like a boss fight and more like intruding on a sacred duet. And then, as the battle reaches its peak, one dancer falls. What happens next is the moment that tells you something is wrong. The surviving dancer does not rage, it does not malfunction, it does not retreat. It simply keeps dancing. Its motions are slower, heavier, almost grieving. It dances until its gears grind apart and the stage finally falls quiet. Players leave that room feeling unsettled. We don't know their names, we don't know their creator, but we know this. This dance meant something. And this is where the true story begins. Hours later, far from the Citadel, Hornet crosses Sinner's Road, a lonely stretch of cliffs and cages where the prisoners once dangled like trophies of a fallen empire. Among them hangs a bug, with pale green coloring, delicate limbs, and a posture that somehow remains regal even in captivity. This is the Green Prince. He isn't mechanical, he isn't hollowed, but he looks familiar. The same color palette, the same elongated form, the same air of poised artistry. When Hornet frees him with a simple key, he speaks with a voice full of dread and duty. My wish again propels me, though I have tried to avoid it. He doesn't want to be here, but something is pulling him forward, something he can't ignore. He walks away, disappearing down the road, and Hornet is left with the feeling that she's only seen a fraction of a much larger story. When Hornet finds the prince again, he stands in the Citadel's halls, staring into its faithful eyes with a mix of fear and fury, and he says, I'd hoped to never step these hateful walls, yet here I am. Something in this place terrifies him, in a way no monster ever has. Players follow him in, deeper and deeper, until finally they find him kneeling in the chamber where Cogwork Dances fell. The room is silent, their broken bodies lie motionless on the marble floor, and the prince recognizes them. Not as machines, but as what's left of someone he's loved. And suddenly, the loneliness in those dancers' final moments becomes crystal clear. This was never a performance, it was grief. To understand the rest of the tragedy, we have to leave the Citadel and journey east, far beyond Hornet's starting point, to the ruins of Verdania. Just by walking through Verdania, you understand the kind of kingdom it once was. Stone pillars wrapped in vines, flowing waters redirected into carved channels, leaf-woven architecture blending craft with nature. Verdania was a kingdom built on beauty, ritual, and harmony, not conquest. And ruling this kingdom were two figures, the Green Prince and his partner, known only through implication and memory. Their reign was peaceful, but it existed under a glowing threat. High above the land, like a jagged crown of black iron, stood the Citadel, the seat of a power regime whose influence spread like tightening chains. Verdania had no army, no fortresses, no way to protect itself from absorption. So the prince's partner made a choice born of love and fear. The Citadel, obsessed with engineering perfection and soul manipulation, designed artisans who could combine beauty with function. So the prince's partner offered himself, not as a prisoner, but as a craftsman. He journeyed willingly into the Citadel, carrying with him a plan to protect Verdania from the Empire's expansion. His task? To create dances, machines of iron and coral powered by soul, constructs that could perform, fight, and serve as symbols of loyalty. But the Citadel wanted more than art. They wanted a piece of him. And so, in a sacrifice that feels almost mythic, the prince's partner split his soul, placing its halves into two mechanical bodies. These became the Cogwork Dances, living relics of a single life divided into two. The dance wasn't choreography, it was communication, a conversation held between halves of a sundered heart. But as with all great tragedies, the deal didn't save Verdania. The Citadel took the dances, then they took the prince. He was captured, shackled, and sent to Sinner's Road, left to waste away while his kingdom fell behind him. And without its rulers, Verdania collapsed. Nature choked its own architecture. The waterways dried or overflowed without guidance. Its people fled, fought, or simply vanished into the margins of Falun. By the time Hornet arrives centuries later, Verdania is a graveyard, a memory of a memory. And the Cogwork Dances, created in desperation, filled with soul and meant to protect a peaceful kingdom, became decorations in the Citadel's halls. Enslaved for beauty, forced to perform, and doomed to die in a dance of grief they never chose. It's at this point that Hornet consoles the Green Prince. She tells him, "Your partner's soul is free from its shell of iron," and the prince's heart finally cracks open. In one of Silksong's most intimate moments, Hornet plays a needling, and the prince sings, a trembling dirge for the partner he lost. His voice isn't just grieving the dancers, he's grieving Verdania, he's grieving himself. But Silksong isn't finished with him yet, because there are memories he still refuses to confront. In the third act of Silksong, Hornet gains an ability that changes everything. The power to step into woven memories, echoes of the past preserved in strands of soul. Using this, Hornet follows the prince's memory back to Verdania, not the ruins, but the kingdom as it once lived. This is one of the most breathtaking sequences in the entire game. Verdania springs back to life, golden green light filtering through branches, bugs wandering streets lined with carved stone and living wood, musicians tuning instruments shaped from hollow reeds, and at the palace, two thrones, two rulers, two spirits intertwined. Here we finally see the Green Prince as he remembers himself, a leader filled with joy and purpose, unaware of the tragedy looming ahead. But memory can't stay beautiful forever. Hornet's presence disrupts it, reminding him that this world is gone. The prince's voice shifts from warm to cold, then to anger. He asks Hornet why she intrudes, whether she seeks judgment, whether she means to tear away the only place where his partner still lives. And then he challenges her. Inside the throne room, the air shifts. The prince raises his weapon, and beside him, drawn from the leftover threads of soul, appears the ghostly form of his partner. Together, they fight like the Cogwork Dancers once did. One advance mirrors the other. One leap becomes a unified rotation. One attack is a movement of unity, a duet performed in battle instead of art. It's beautiful, it's sad, and it's the final expression of a shared life. This battle isn't about winning, it's about acceptance. The prince isn't fighting Hornet, he's fighting the truth. That Verdania is gone, that his partner is gone, that the dancers were the lost pieces of a soul torn apart by duty and love. And when the battle ends, the memory finally cracks. The palace dims, the light fades, the prince collapses, not in defeat, but in relief. His partner's ghost kneels beside him, the two sharing one silent moment. Then they fade, not violently, peacefully. The burden is gone. The brilliance of Green Prince's story is how quietly it's told. It's not a primary quest. It's not one shoved in front of the player. It lives in corners, memories, cages, and ruins. And that's fitting, because the saga of Verdania is a story about things slipping away. A kingdom that tried to survive through beauty instead of violence. A lover who sacrificed himself for peace that never came. A ruler who lost everything and clung to the memories because it was all he had left. Even the Cogwork Dances, the first step of this entire journey, are symbols of what was lost. The dance is not a performance, it's the echo of a soul split in two. A duet held together by longing and grief. A reminder that love persists in strange forms, sometimes even in iron. This is what makes the Citadel so terrifying. Not its architecture or bosses or oppressive design, but what it takes. It took the dancers, it took the partners' souls, it took the prince's freedom, and indirectly, it killed Verdania. The prince's story is what happens when a kingdom of art meets an empire of machinery. By the time Hornet leaves Verdania's ruins for the last time, something feels different. She's seen a kingdom destroyed by forces she herself is now caught between. She's watched the soul divided, forced into servitude, and finally freed. She's witnessed how grief can bind a ruler to memory for centuries, and how acceptance can both be painful and liberating. The Green Prince's story isn't just optional lore, it's a mirror to Silksong's world. A land built on beauty, threatened by machinery, and struggling under the weight of history. And just like Hornet, players walk away from the storyline with more questions than answers. How many other kingdoms fell like Verdania? How many souls were repurposed into machines? How many stories lie beneath the Citadel's iron skin? Silksong doesn't give easy answers. That's what makes its world feel alive. And that brings us to the end of our dive into the Green Prince, the Cogwork Dances, and the fallen kingdom of Verdania. A story of love and sacrifice, of memory and grief, and of a dance that continued long after the dancers were gone. If you want more Silksong lore dives, breakdowns, or deep analyses of characters hidden in the game's darkest corners, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. That's it from us here at Controller Culture, and we'll see you in the next one.